No, it looks like he's been trading at all those other firms already.
You prop trades at Vinani private clients.
Well, Venani has a prop trading side. I don't know if it's. Sorry. Morning, everyone. Let's get started. All right. Last night's session on the S&P, we finally got a little bit of a sell-off. Um, Markets finally started to react a little bit to the some of the risk-off sentiment, I guess, on the back of China has continued to weigh on things, and then the Ukraine-Russia story. I still don't think that's having a big impact on the market as of yet. We'll probably have to wait to see and if there's any sort of resolution of what's happening right now with John Kerry being over there and them trying to stamp something out with Putin at the moment. So, but Asia markets were very heavy last night with the Nikkei down over 2.5%. We had the Hang Seng down over 1%, 1.5%. Kospi down over 1.5%. So really kind of ugly there. And it wasn't due to just a strengthening in the yen. We're definitely just seeing some risk off. I think those markets are going to have to start looking at correcting if the Chinese significantly correcting if the Chinese market is really going to be that bad, if the Chinese economy is going to be as soft as what some people are thinking it may be, and commodity prices are thinking it may be, because remember they trade so heavily with China, they'll be very heavily impacted over there on that side of the world. Um, Right. This morning there's no corporate action to speak of and very little market data out. I mean, we can look at the tertiary industry index in Japan, which is a slight beat, and the domestic CGPI numbers, which are a slight miss. Consumer confidence in Japan is also a slight miss. Then later we've got the current account balance and current account as a percentage of GDP here. That's happening at 10. I might move the rand quite a bit. And then we've got CPI in Spain, industrial production in Europe, and mortgage apps in the States. So, like I said, very little that's going to get markets moving. We're going to focus more on the action and what's going on there. I mean, we'll jump into the maps real quick. What I think is important to look at is, this morning, I didn't even have it on my list of things to show, but I'll just show the chart real quickly anyway, and that's copper, and you can see there that's a 1, 2, 3 day plunge of 10% on copper. I mean, the last time I've seen that was back in the glory days when we were I think when things were bombing out in 2009, maybe. You can see there that the $3 per pound level is a very significant level there in copper, which we have dropped. We haven't seen these levels since early 2010, and I think it's important to note that even going back before that, we hadn't really seen that for quite a while. So these are low levels in terms of the copper prices, 294 as we look at it right now. We also, on the back of all this industrial demand apparently dropping with the iron ore price and the copper price, we saw oil on the light sweet number give up, or West Texas Intermediate give up the $100 level as well. So what we're seeing, I think, is definitely turning into a little bit more of a theme. And I think if we don't start to see a bounce sooner rather than later, I think some people are going to get caught with their pants down here. We've had a huge push into the mining sector over the past couple of months, and I mean, that could get real interesting real fast. So we'll have to monitor this, see if we regain $3 anytime soon. I know Barclays was out last night saying that they thought that this sell-off in the copper price is going to be short-lived. So we'll continue to monitor that going forward. But bottom line is some very important things happening here. Okay, let's get into what I was going to speak about, and we're going to look at spot gold price. Look at the spot gold price. Sorry, let me shorten this up to a 1 year, and we'll look at this level we've looked at several times over the last little while. Sorry, this 1350 level, which I don't know why I'm not drawing lines here. What the hell's going on? Okay, there we go. At 1350, you can see we totally we totally ripped through that last night, and this happened during the Asian session. I think when the U.S. market closed, we were still hovering around about 1347, 1348, one of the times I woke up in the middle of the night, I looked at the looked at my phone and I could see that we were trading about $6 or $7 through this 1350 level. This is going to be important. You can see how many times we tested it over the past 3-4 weeks, and the fact that we've broken out here, I think very significant. There's a much higher target on this breakout here, so just be wary. We're probably going to get a push to the upside on the back of that. On the back of that, let's just have a look at, I know we showed Anglo Gold yesterday, which really broke out. I'll also show Gold Fields quickly. Gold Fields really flagging, broke out of the flag pattern to the upside, in the last couple sessions. I think definitively in yesterday's session. You can see there we zoom in a little bit. I would say we're easily going to come back and test the recent highs, which are at 45 Rand. But I think we can even go up a little bit higher than that. I wouldn't be surprised to see us up here around 48, sometime soon. And if we get through 48, then I'm probably in some sort of horizontal resistance to be looking for around 55. So let's keep that one in mind. All right, let's look at some of the ones that we had been looking at that if you guys were on the wrong side of this, then obviously you weren't listening to our morning call, and that's Kumba. Kumba just absolutely puked yesterday again. This 385 level, which we talked about, if we dropped it was going to get ugly. And you can see there we closed at 369. We got as low as 366, I believe. Bottom line is we threw out a huge target, maybe down around 305 if this level dropped yesterday. We talked about that target closer to 305. I don't, a lot of people saying, hey, they like Kumba down at this level. I don't know anything about the fundamentals. Well, I do know some about the fundamentals, but I'm looking at this on a purely technical basis. The technicals are saying lower. Typically what will happen on these kind of drops is you'll get it to drop. Maybe it trades to 366. Maybe it trades to 355. I don't know. Then it'll retest the breakdown level here at 385, and that's when it kind of resumes this downtrend. So, we've had a huge downward move from literally 465 down to 365 in no more than probably 12 sessions, 10 or 12 sessions. So, I think this thing has done a lot in the short term, but watch this one, keep this one on your radar, and don't get caught picking bottoms here. To be quite honest, the risk to try to catch this thing on the downside. Imagine if you tried to catch it before yesterday, you got hit with 6% yesterday. So this is, I think you got to be patient. Wait for this thing to come into the right ranges before you look to pick bottoms on this stock or any other stock in the sector at the moment. Exxaro, another one just like that. We'll shorten it up a little bit here and just have a look. I know we've looked at this chart as well several times. This 137 level I think is pretty clearly defined. We kind of spiked down here on an odd lot. On an odd lot in the middle of the day yesterday, but really the bottom end of the price was at 140. We're going to look for a test at least of 137, and I also think that there's a decent chance that this thing can drop out the bottom here as well. Maybe not quite as directly exposed to the iron ore price as Kumba, but still obviously a big part of their profits. So that's a level to watch. Remember, if this one drops 137, it's going to get freaking messy here probably. So just keep that in mind. All right, and then let's look at Naspers. Naspers has really just been narrowing in its pattern. We've really kind of been in a bit of a wedge formation building into yesterday's move. And then yesterday you saw us, we just ripped up higher. For no real apparent reason. It just finally decided to start trading well again. We did see, as the last time that I looked, we were down about 3% on Tencent in the Hong Kong session. So we'll probably look to give up most of all of these gains this morning. But there's definitely, in terms of this wedge pattern here, around 1320 you may come into some sort of support. Keep that one in mind. That's about 2.5% sell-off. So So yeah, watch it around 1320. I think if we get below that, then this pattern probably a bit null and void. All right, and the last thing I wanted to show is just the banking sector in general. All the patterns looking very similar. Let me back out here a little bit. Well, first round maybe a touch different, but it's definitely kind of failed at resistance here, and it's somewhere close to some sort of trend support, as you can see there. And it's been a very steep upward move here. Same thing with Standard Bank. Looks very similar in terms of it's really built this steep upward trend line of the last month or so. And then Nedbank also looking almost identical. So I mean, obviously they're all going to trade very similarly, but I think it's something to point out here because these things drop support on this recent trend line. It could be you could see a bit of a sell-off across the board in the banking sector. It's something to keep an eye out for over the next couple of sessions. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.
I see. So, Jules, check this out.